Donny, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Okay, I'm doing well.
For Labor Day. We're laboring here on Labor Day.
We are.
Yeah.
Kenosha, that great big busy town, right in the middle of the USA, between the New York Harbor and the San Francisco Bay. Well, I'm the sweet, the beautiful West, that's the right place to be proud. Sing it so loud and make because we're so proud to make Kenosha our hometown. Give me a beer.
Welcome to Ktown Connects.
We got it.
I'm your host, Donny.
And I'm Jason.
Jason, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Donny.
Great.
How are you?
I'm doing well. What are we doing here today?
We're talking with Daniel Thompson.
Ooh, I can't wait.
We got some juicy stuff to talk to him about.
Yeah, we do.
If you don't know who he is, stay tuned. You're going to find out.
So, I've had some great meals this week in Kenosha.
Yeah?
Yeah. I had a nice veggie burger from TG's.
Ah, TG's. Where's that?
TG's is on 7th Avenue, right off of Washington Road. Would you say Harborside? Not really downtown?
North of Harborside.
Yeah, great veggie burger with some sweet potato fries.
Wow.
Pepper jack cheese. I want a little spice.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I always recommend TG's.
Yeah? TG's is good.
Yeah, I think the guest that we have, Daniel Thompson, he played there a few months ago, I believe. We'll have to ask him about that.
He's nodding yes, so that's okay.
Good. Perfect. Have you had any great meals in Kenosha?
Actually, yeah. Well, I went out to Kenosha County. We took a drive this weekend and went out to River Valley Ranch Foods, which is out on Highway 50 right before Lake Geneva. Mm-hmm. It's called, I just called Mushroom Hut. That's what I always called it.
The Mushroom Hut?
Yeah.
Is that kind of like a Pizza Hut?
No, it's way better.
Of course it is.
It's like a farm to table kind of place where they have all kinds of great veggies and stuff like that, all kinds of great like homemade stuff. And their brats are, oh my God. They have these mushroom and Swiss stuffed brats that are the best brat I've ever had.
Really?
Yeah. I had them a couple of years ago at Taste Wisconsin, maybe one of the first years, and it was awesome then. I came back the next night to get another one. Wow. So I'm like, I'm going back to Taste Wisconsin to get another one of these brats. And I found out where they were coming from. So I've been out there 3 or 4 times. About once or twice a summer I go out there and grab a pack.
Wow.
Grab like a 6-pack. And yeah, they are, you don't even have to boil them or anything like that. Just throw them right in the grill, brown them up.
Wow. I didn't know you were such a lover of bratwurst.
I mean,
you know
it's Wisconsin. It's Kenosha. Come on, man.
Do you have any cheese curds with those bratwursts?
No, I just got that.
Jason's cooking bratwurst.
We just had that and corn on the cob. It was good.
Oh, very good. Well,
so that was my meal.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well,
all right.
So our guest today has been making local and national news. He is now known as the unemployed editor that quit the Kenosha News over a misleading headline from a Jacob Blake rally. The Kenosha News upper management would not change the headline at the time. He is a true inspiration for standing up for the way journalism should be reported without false impressions. We welcome Daniel Thompson to the show. Welcome.
Wow.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
I put that together in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's a good intro there.
Yeah, that covered all the bases.
Yeah. All right, we're done here.
Thanks for listening. All right. Daniel, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you got nothing really going on.
Yeah,
right
I got
now,
a lot of time on my hands right now.
All right, well, I'm glad you can make it. So we're going to kind of get to know Daniel here. We're going to talk to him a little bit and see what makes him tick. And
then we'll dig real down, real dirty and get all the dirt that he has.
We asked him if there's anything we can't ask him. And he said no. He said the game's on. So
he's an open book today for the Ktown Connects podcast.
Yeah.
So, Danielle, tell us, have you always lived in Kenosha? Were you born and raised in Kenosha? Give us a little backstory.
No, I was born in Racine, actually, and I lived in Racine until I was 16. But I always went to Kenosha school, so I went to a Christian Life School. And my parents also worked for Kenosha Unified School District when I was a kid. So the majority of my time was always spent here, even though I would sleep in Racine. Mm. So I always had more of a connection to Kenosha. I knew more of what was happening in Kenosha than I ever did really Racine.
So you had 2 hometowns growing up pretty much.
Pretty much, yes.
So you went to Christian Life. Now here's something funny.
Did you go to the old one or the new one?
On
60th Street or the new one on Highway 50?
The new one.
Okay.
So I also went to Christian Life. I believe I went there for, I want to say 10th and half of 11th grade. So 97, 98 or something around there, 96, 97. Boy, that was a trip and a half at that place.
So, Donny, wait, before we ask him about it, why were you only there half a year?
Oh, I got kicked out.
Oh,
I got asked to leave. I was a bad teenager.
Wow, what did you do?
Well, I really can't talk about it. It's pretty embarrassing. We'll just say I wanted to bang the pastor's daughter, and they didn't like that. They didn't like that. So, and of course, I had a bad record. I was a bad boy, smoking a lot of marijuana, drinking.
Yeah, I think all of that is generally frowned upon there.
Yes. But oh boy, when I was going there, they had this movement happening where it was called, they were Shakers. I don't know if you're familiar with this. They were filled with the Holy Spirit, and they couldn't stop shaking and twitching.
Okay.
It was the craziest thing I've probably ever witnessed in my life. It went on for months, and I was really fed up with it.
See, the funny thing is, I didn't just go there for a brief period of time. I was what they call a lifer.
Ooh.
I was there from first grade basically until 11th. I was kicked out twice.
Oh.
Sophomore and junior.
Congratulations.
Yeah. But no, the funny thing is Christian life was interesting to me because I thoroughly have enjoyed growing up with the people I did. Because a lot of us are still connected on Facebook and things like that. It's interesting to remember them when we were about, 7 or 8 and see them now that we're entering our 30s, So I really cherish those friendships, but elementary was fine at CLS.
The high school years.
And high school was the time when it really got unbearable. Because it focused more on image and reputation than actually making an impact on the students. I mean, they wanted students that made them look good, not they wanted students that they could make better.
And their dress code was pretty outrageous.
I owed them so much money for not shaving. I think at one point it was over $200. And it was $5 every single time that they caught you.
Yep.
So
you got like a fine for shaving?
Yes, you got $5. One time they rounded Tennyson rounded up and a whole group of us that had like first hour study hall and made us shave in the bathroom.
Yeah, I had to shave once in the bathroom. That was I never thought I'd have to shave at school.
I know, right?
And yeah, I got in some deep trouble for wearing a Pearl Jam No Code T-shirt. You couldn't wear any band T-shirts or anything.
I used to get in trouble for T-shirts sometimes too.
But they were under the gun recently as well. But let's not really talk about that. That's kind of
there are some allegations going on with CLS, and it's a situation. It doesn't. Let me say this: controversy or anything like that surrounding CLS does not in any way surprise me.
Same here. It was quite a trip. But we're not here to talk about CLS, are we?
Exactly.
I'm kind of interested because I, grew up in public schools and I'm an atheist, so it's kind of amusing to me.
It was an experience, and it's an experience I don't think you truly get unless you went through it yourself.
And you know what? I still have best friends from that school to this day.
Oh, yeah.
3 of my best friends still. I mean, like
the friendships are solid.
Yep. You bond over that kind of craziness.
Exactly. Yeah, you bond over surviving it together.
So you graduated from high school from them?
No, I graduated high school from Tremper, actually.
Okay, all right.
So I went there my senior year and graduated from Tremper.
So you familiar with our theme song, the Kenosha, My Hometown? I guess that's a Tremper song.
Vaguely, yes.
Okay, yeah. So you weren't part of the Golden Strings?
No.
Well, I mean, you're a musician, so you're also...
I am, but no.
Yes, 3 AM Saints. Is that what you're going by right now, correct?
That is what I am going by, yes. And it's interesting because before all this, I was mainly known in Kenosha as a musician, and people would be surprised I worked for Kenosha News. And now I'm getting the opposite reaction on almost a national level.
You play the guitar?
Yeah, exactly. So it's very funny to me right now.
So what are some of your earliest memories of Kenosha?
My earliest memories of Kenosha. So
besides getting the paddle from Tennyson.
So actually, my favorite memories that used to take place in Kenosha. So My father had a church in Racine, and at the time his parents were still alive, Mary Alice and Arzell Thompson. So we would all go to my dad's church, but often after church, my grandparents would take us to Shoney's in Kenosha. So we used to spend a lot of Sundays at Shoney's, the Shoney's location.
Is that the one at the interstate?
Yeah, it's the one that's where Perkins is now.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, right in that location. We used to go there all the time. So my first memories of Kenosha are actually being with my grandparents eating after church at Shoney's.
Oh, nice.
So anytime, even now when I see a Shoney's, like if I go down south, rarely when I go down south, you know,
You got to stop.
I
that
have
one,
to
right?
stop. I have to stop because it's so nostalgic for me.
I have the same thing with Ponderosa Steakhouse. Whenever I
See,
see one, I have to stop.
I have memories of that too, but it's not on the same level.
That was one of my earliest jobs, Ponderosa. I worked there for a year. Yeah.
Oh.
Did a little bit of everything. Waited tables. What?
There's a great Facebook page called Ponderosa PI if anybody wants to go check that page out.
Speaking of Ponderosa,
Yeah, you know, Ponderosa PI on Facebook. Check it out. They
what's
they,
on there?
They find closed or abandoned Ponderosa buildings and they draw them back to life with sketches.
Oh, I think I've seen it. Isn't that like just a Photoshop editor?
No, I think it's a real artist
Oh.
who draws Ponderosa buildings.
It looked like that Photoshop edit where you do the
People
sketch
can go
thing.
check it out. Ponderosa PI for themselves.
All right, yeah.
All right.
Should we share a link on our Ktown Connects page?
Yeah, we'll put a link on there. I need some more followers. I mean, whoever doesn't need some more followers. That's the beauty about Facebook. You can just do whatever you
Make
want.
some stupid page and
Right, that's right.
pretend it's not
Maybe
yours.
Maybe I should start a Shoney's.
I would
Facebook
love
page.
to have a local Shoney's again. I would go broke eating there, probably.
You know, you should start a GoFundMe.
I don't think I would push my luck. No.
All right, so then let's see. You're in Kenosha. You graduate. Then where do you go off to college at?
I initially went to Whitewater for 2 years, where I met a few people that I still talk. In fact, I saw two of them yesterday. Two of my best friends I met my freshman year in Whitewater. In fact, last year I officiated their wedding.
Oh.
So I first went there for 2 years, and then I transferred to Madison for 2 years.
Were you doing journalism then? Were you always interested in that, or?
Whitewater, I had a journalism minor, so I had always kind of had some interest in journalism. I mean, I did some work at my high school paper that you can't even really call it journalism, but, you know, I kind of dabbled in it a little bit. It wasn't until junior year in college that I had an internship at Beloit Daily News that I started actually writing and appreciating it.
Okay.
But
What was your major at the time?
I was an English major.
Oh.
And first it was English education, but then I realized I didn't want to deal with high schoolers anymore.
Yeah.
So I switched to English lit. And then I transferred to Madison, and they had certificates. I could have double majored, but then I just went with plain English and focused and just depended on my internship.
Okay.
So did you get the job at the Kenosha News right off the bat?
I didn't, but I did apply and I did interview. So when I was 22, with only that internship and my resume, I don't know if I still have my original resume from when I graduated college, but it would be hilarious to look at now.
Why
What
is
I
that?
probably put on it. Because it's like I didn't have a lot. I just had that internship that was applicable to the situation. So I did get an interview with Carl Fredrickson, who was is it Carl Frederick, who was there at the time. But Carl was the managing editor, and you know I went through writing prompts and all this stuff, and it became clear to me immediately that I was not qualified. But Carl was very nice about it, and you know, eventually weeks later when I got a call, you know, you didn't get the job. You told me to come back when I had more experience. So I actually took Carl's business card and stuck it in my wallet and kept it in there for 5 years.
Wow.
My first job was actually at the Western Nebraska Observer in Kimball, Nebraska, which is a town or a city of about 2,500. It's the last city before you enter Wyoming to the west, and it's 10 miles north of the Colorado border to the south. So it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. I mean, every other city is about 40 miles away.
I've driven through Nebraska. It was the most boring state I've ever seen.
It's boring.
I took that one highway straight through the middle, and
Going straight across Nebraska is the worst drive you'll ever.
we just
have
got
in your life.
through Iowa too, and I thought Iowa was bad, and then we went through Nebraska, and I was like, this is way worse.
Nebraska makes Iowa look like a dream.
What were some of the headlines in that paper? Like,
And
local farmer
actually,
milks cow twice in a day.
here's the thing: is the headlines aren't that different because I had a police chief that I was initially friendly with, who turned out to have lied about all his credentials, and he resigned.
Wow.
So I got to report on that. I think
that's gotta be like, wow.
In a city of 2,500, that's Century News.
I had a gas pipeline that was going through my county at the time, and they were so secretive, their employees weren't allowed to talk to me about anything. And then one of their pipes burst or exploded out in part of my county. And I kind of got into a back and forth with their lawyer because he took issue with me saying exploded. So I had to go over the exact definition of exploded, seeing as this thing left a huge crater in somebody's field.
Wow.
So a lot happens out in these small places, but it's that nobody's looking. So a lot of people get away with things.
Ooh.
Interesting. And how long were you there? 5 years?
I was there I was at the Western Nebraska Observer for about 2 years, I want to say. And then I moved to Monticello Herald Journal in Monticello, Indiana. Because I was closer to home. It was only 3 hours away from Kenosha, basically.
Yeah.
And that's a lot better than the 15 hours Kimball was. So I spent some time at that newspaper, and then I was actually let go from that newspaper over disagreements with management there.
Oh, I see a trend.
Yeah, right? Which is why now,
Yeah.
But
what was it? What was the mix-up?
I've always been pretty vocal about what I don't see working in a newsroom, and especially if I see something wrong with policies. For instance, with this particular company, it was a mixture of things. They were bringing in a regional editor, and he wasn't really needed. They were bringing in a new dress code policy, which was heavy-handedly sexist, in my opinion. And when me and one of my employees, who was female, spoke up, it was kind of dismissed. So there was a lot going on. Plus, they were in the process of trying to they fired my sports editor without consulting me.
Ooh.
And brought in a new guy without me being part of the interview process. And I was the managing editor. So there was a lot of tension that was going on behind the scenes, to the point of where, when they told me, because they drew me in with, it's a review.
Yeah.
But I knew immediately. So when I sat down, they were like, well, we're not going to waste your time. We're going to let you go. And my reaction was, oh, good, because I was probably going to quit anyway.
So then what brought you to the Kenosha News? Was that your next stop then?
That was my next stop. What had actually happened was I'd been applying to the Kenosha News periodically throughout this entire 5-year process, checking in to see if, I'd reached the point where they would hire me. So it was almost right after I got fired, shortly after I heard back from Mike Larson, who was the managing editor of Kenosha News at the time, and they were looking for a city editor. So I did a couple interviews, and then I came for an in-person one, and he offered me the job, and I was already, ready to go, and my parents are still local, so I basically just, on September 25th, 2017, I reported, and I'd spend my weekdays here, and then my weekends back at my house in Indiana.
Okay. So you're hired on as the city editor originally?
Yes.
And what exactly was your job then?
Assigning stories to reporters, doing first read of stories when they come in, that kind of thing.
Okay. All right.
So when did you become the digital editor?
So I became Metro and digital editor when Mike was let go and his position was eliminated. And then Bob Heiss was brought in while we were still owned by...
We'll get to that.
While we were still owned by United Communications Corporation, or UCC, which was the Brown family.
And where are they out of?
They were... I don't remember.
Okay, that's fine.
But they had owned the Kenosha News for a very, very long time. So around that time, I became the Metro and digital editor. And then when we were sold to Lee Enterprises doesn't have Metro and digital editors. They just have digital editors. So I was just wrapped up into that title they already had.
Okay.
But by the end of it, my job duties, it's almost digital editor thing makes it seem like I only did stuff on the web, online, which I did. I did a lot of collections. I did a lot of, photo galleries. I did stuff with stories, different presentations, did stuff on social media. But beyond that, I also took a lot of photos when a photographer wasn't available. I wrote stories when a reporter wasn't available, and was basically a general assignment person in the newsroom. And that's not uncommon nowadays. I mean, with how the news industry's shrunk, at least in staffing, every job, the job of 5 people has been consolidated into one.
Oh, we know. We know.
Yeah.
So when Brown sold to Lee Enterprise, what changes happened there? What did you like? What didn't you like?
There were changes. There weren't a lot of changes at first. I mean, more people were gone. Obviously, not everybody was hired on with Lee.
Yeah, they let quite a bunch of people go.
Yeah. So it was hard to lose all those people. It was hard to move out of downtown. I think those 2 decisions, from a business standpoint, were probably necessary. It's just it was hard to let go of the building where the Kenosha News had been.
Yeah, because that was the heart of downtown. So
exactly.
To speak.
Plus, there was a lot of history and a lot of meaningful decorations in the building that reflected that history. And not all of that made it into the new office. The new office is lovely, but it looks like an office.
Oh, yeah.
Not a newspaper. So there weren't a lot of changes, actually. Lee, having the corporate ownership was good as far as they have more resources. And also they had cheaper rates with services that they were getting provided. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of benefit through that. But in general, in the news industry under corporate ownership or anything like that, is that you are seeing just cuts and cuts and cuts. When I started at the Kenosha News almost 3 years ago, I had a staff just under me of about 10 to 12 people.
Wow. These are all journalists and photographers?
Mm-hmm. And now there is maybe 10 to 12 people in the newsroom.
Whew. And their sales team is, 3 people?
I don't actually know, because right now everything is being housed in almost multiple buildings, split between the Journal-Times and Kenosha News and whatever other property.
You see them joining together in the near future? Racine and Kenosha, one paper?
I
was thinking that.
I would not be surprised if it's at least a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, especially at least print.
Yeah, at least print, especially if you find yourself in a place where you have to downsize more staff. It would not be feasible anymore to be 2 newsrooms.
Yeah.
Do people even read the print copy anymore? I mean, I do it digitally. I read digitally.
It's based on the demographics. Now, the older demographics obviously still like the print product, because it's not only, it's just their preferred medium, but also it's a nostalgia factor.
Right.
Now,
read the paper while drinking your coffee in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a comfort thing. They get to hold that in their hand, kind of read it, yeah.
Exactly, and there's many times where I'd much rather be holding a physical copy of something.
Yeah.
It depends on what it is.
Anything you want to read in depth, I would.
Well, exactly. I want it in front of me.
I
hate scrolling through something that's really long, like a long profile piece or something.
Those pop-up ads.
Mm-hmm. It's annoying, but no, it's that. And I think as that older demographic kind of ages out and dies, you'll see less and less print. You'll see less and less daily print. You'll maybe see, if I had a print product, I would honestly throw all my weight in digital, and maybe I'd still have a once a week, a weekly, or a twice weekly print product with the best stories.
Yeah.
The stories you don't want to miss.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I would do.
I agree with you.
Because it's going to die out pretty soon.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they are still printing every day.
It is. Here's the thing that's frustrating even more about the industry. So, from my experience, is that a lot of these mid-level papers spent so much time trying to become like the high-level national publications or mimic their style, that they lost the ability to check their community and see where they fit within, or what the wants and needs of their individual readership community is. Because the truth is, most people would probably be fine with the paper printing less if the quality was better.
Yeah.
and just more local.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts when you were working there on this site? Hey, we're going to go to print early, so every day you get the next day's news, but it's 2 days old.
What do you mean? Like when?
Oh, I understand what you're saying. When we moved the deadline to 5 p.m. instead of 11.
Is that what happened? Yeah,
day.
tell us about the deadline for the paper.
Yeah, so
Originally
when we
it was-
moved to, so what happened was we used to print in Racine, and they shut down that press. So all of our papers were printed in Northwest Indiana. What happened was once we did that, they changed the deadline to 5 p.m. because Kenosha, Racine, and Lake Geneva, when their weekly prints would be printing from there, and our delivery people would have to drive from Northwest Indiana and bring the papers back. Now, I understand the why of it. I never agreed with doing it. And the why I never agreed is this. When you move your deadline to 5 p.m., and I mean, people have accepted it now, but you're not covering any government nighttime meetings in any timely fashion. You're not covering sports in any timely fashion. If anything crime related, if there's anything breaking that happens after 5 p.m., congratulations, people have to wait a full day. Right. So any information you have is irrelevant anyway.
I didn't know about the deadline being moved up. So every day they bring it from Indiana?
About around 4 p.m., 3:30, 4 p.m., all the stories are done that are going into that day.
And they prepare the layout and send it out, yeah.
But does your job continue as a digital editor to put the stories then online instead of in print?
Putting them online, deciding when they go online, how they're presented, yeah. You keep going with that.
Yeah, because that's why I enjoy the digital.
Exactly.
I mean, it's really lost a lot since you've been gone. I'm just putting it out there right now.
I'm sure they're doing fine.
So would you space out the stories that go up throughout the day, like even throughout overnight?
Yeah. We started having Social News Desk, which basically sweeps your site and every 15 minutes puts out the newest story.
Oh.
The newest story that's flagged local or a certain tag on it.
Oh.
So once that started happening, you start noticing that you're not putting out stories late at night, so it's just grabbing whatever. So you start spacing things out later and later.
Okay.
So that there's at least something local.
Huh. So your program automatically takes your stories from the website, KenoshaNews.com, and puts it on social media.
It's basically like an arm of Lee, Social News Desk, or a contract they have.
Okay. Huh.
And it's people that set it up.
It goes through Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah, it looks at your whatever social media accounts you want to put on it.
Yeah, wow, interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. We're getting a lot of dirt here. All right, so let's go up the speed here.
Okay.
So you were at the Kenosha News for 3 years.
Yes.
And you just recently resigned.
Mm-hmm.
So this was over a headline from the Jacob Blake rally.
Yep.
What was this headline?
This headline was, I can look up the actual...
Donnie, you got it there, don't you?
I have it somewhere here.
But I believe it was, if you kill one of ours, it's time to kill one of theirs, or one of yours.
Yep.
But this was said during a rally where the entire day was peaceful and night was peaceful.
And here's the thing the funny thing is, the more that I talk about it with other people is that... and especially shows, is that they'll play the clip of this person speaking. And still to this day, nobody knows, or I have never heard who this person was. And also, when you listen to the full audio of him speaking, and right after he says that, you get shocked reaction and disgust from the people in the crowd. And that's, so when I kind of sent it to Bob Heiss, my former boss, telling him, I thought it was grossly negligent and inappropriate. And he responded with that it was, a direct quote and that it was a public threat, kind of saying that's a legitimate headline. And it's funny. I didn't think about it at the time. Of course, I responded, then I quit, and then I sent, my letter of resignation. Which only took 20 minutes, by the way, from the second that I contacted him to when I sent him my last text of sent.
It's kind of showing you a little disrespect.
So how'd you see the headline originally? Did you just
I was on Facebook. I was on Facebook after the event, and I was sitting there.
So you were there?
I was at the event all day, and
Yeah.
then I got home, and then I was sitting on my couch just kind of decompressing and kind of just enjoying the memory of everything I saw. And then I saw a friend actually comment on a Facebook or on a Kenosha News post with the story online. And I originally thought it might have been one of those state or national stories that can get caught up in that social media desk
Yeah,
thing.
we've seen
or
that.
or social news desk thing that I was talking about. So I clicked on it, and when I realized that it was, a story about the same event that I had just been at, that's when I kind of got angry and sent all the text to Bob, and you saw that kind of conversation played out through screenshots and everything I've shared.
Did he even call you to talk to you about it, or he was?
No, I've heard nothing from anybody, or
Wow.
not him or the HR person even trying to set up when I can get my stuff.
Wow.
So you didn't really have any good validation for it. You just kind of said it's the way it goes.
It was like, well, it was the public threat
Yeah.
aspect, but even now that I think about it, so had that been a public threat, for one, the people in the crowd would have treated it as a credible threat. And two, if you truly believe that it was a credible threat, why wasn't it immediately breaking news or put on Facebook or Twitter or anything?
Yeah. But would this fall under the old journalists saying of like, if it bleeds, it leads kind of thing? They take the most shocking
Before
thing.
you even said it,
You know?
I knew
You knew it was
what you were
coming,
gonna
didn't you?
say.
Yeah,
I knew
yeah.
it was coming.
Yeah.
If it bleeds, it leads.
That doesn't mean it's right, but
No, there is a tendency to try to find the most eye-catching thing you can
yeah.
to draw people in. But here's the thing that I'm discovering, especially now, after, the social movements, the conversations we've had, and even as a nation, the administration and the moves that they've been making that we've seen, is that truth isn't boring now,
Correct.
You don't have to gussy it up, or you don't have to make it flashy. People are starving for it.
Yeah.
You just have to give people proper context and the proper facts. And not only will they read it or look at it, they will appreciate you for doing it, because everybody's trying to cram a spin down your throat everywhere you look.
Yeah.
Having somebody who's trying to just give you facts,
They don't want it.
it's a frustrating time to live.
And a real journalistic organization shouldn't be going with that.
Right. They should have went with the positivity of the whole.
Well, or the
not even
field
not even
the
just
whole
that,
day.
just the honest overall, something that was honest about the overall thing. And here's the thing that kills me. Dan Trutchell, a local reporter who works very, very hard and has done so on his day off, wrote a story about the whole event. The story that you saw online that people react to was actually the sidebar to his story, but the presentation of it online made it look like the main bar. So think about it this way, and I feel so bad for him because he spent time actually crafting a good story. And then everybody is storming the Kenosha News because of this thing that none of the actual reporting staff in Kenosha at that office had anything to do with.
Wow. So who is responsible for that story then? You're not sure because you haven't been back, huh?
No, I know.
Or
who
you
it
know
is.
you're just not. Okay.
I know. I'm just never going to say.
Okay.
You sure you don't want to break the scoop on
Nope,
Ktown Connects?
I am
Okay.
totally sure. That person, just like I had to deal with the weight of my moral decision, that person will have to feel the weight of whatever they decide and what they can live with. And clearly, up to this point, they can live with saying nothing.
So you resigned. That was it. You haven't heard back from him or anything, huh?
Nope, haven't heard a word.
Huh.
So you still got to clean out your office, huh?
I have Howard Brown's Hall of Fame Wisconsin Newspaper Association plaque on my desk that Lucy Brown gave to me when we left the Kenosha News building downtown. And I have my wireless earbuds. Those are two things I want to grab.
Ooh.
And that's about it. I'm not saying that and here's the thing, in all of this, so I loved my time with the staff, the reporting staff of Kenosha News. And I believe they are totally great, unbiased journalists, and I have no problem with any of the reporters or Sean Krajacek, the photographer. I think they're lovely, wonderful, professional people. And I was actually disheartened when I heard that they were getting a lot of nasty comments directed at them. because they were my family. I never have a bad thought about them. In fact, they're the ones that questioned me when I was doing questionable things. We all kept each other accountable.
Mm-hmm.
The issue has always been what management or what the corporation does with what those reporters do or what they turn in, what that it gets changed into.
Yeah.
That's the issue at heart of kind of all of this from just a journalism standpoint, or my standpoint really is that it's horrible to see hardworking people rewarded with a slap in the face like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are getting some backlash.
Exactly. And they don't deserve it at all.
No, they don't.
It's kind of strange. I was hearing you talk today. It's like there's a mirror image here between Christian Life and Kenosha News, where, there it's like you and your fellow students are together with this cloud over you there, and it's kind of the same kind of thing, it seems like. It's almost like a repeat of the story you told earlier, just with different
Well, exactly.
people.
And that's the thing. When you have an environment that is unsuccessful at creating some kind of incubation or safety spot for either development, creativity, or even accountability among a whole group of people, everything will fail without that. So it's no surprise that when I'm looking at whether it be a school system that I see as failing to serve their students, or a newspaper that's failing to serve, or a corporation that's failing to serve its staff, at the heart of these failures, you're going to find a lot of the same reasons behind them. Because it's not just a failure on a business level, it's a failure on a human level as well.
Yeah.
Well, here's the question. You had a couple weeks to let it all simmer. Would you do it again?
Oh, in a heartbeat.
That's what I like to hear.
I think it's a good time for a little break. We'll take a take 5, and we'll be right back. Some more with Daniel Thompson. What?
Are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
All right.
We've been back.
Well, welcome back to Ktown Connects. That was a great little commercial break.
It wasn't much of a commercial. I think there's trolley bells. That's what we have.
Oh, yeah. Ding, ding.
Ding, ding.
Well, I'd like to thank Faded Barbershop For Men in Uptown Kenosha, 2227 63rd Street. They are our new home for us recording this podcast.
It's our first time in our new studio, I guess you could call it.
I think I'm going to get a haircut while I'm here.
Yeah, our spot at the Key, they were very nice. Let us use their spot for a few weeks, but someone else needed the spot, so we had to find something else, and the girls at Faded Barbershop allowed us to use their space. So
yes,
thank you very much. You can listen to our interview with them on this Ktown Connects link.
Yep, and you can find that on your favorite podcast provider where you're probably listening to this podcast at.
When you need to do that video showing people how to...
Yes, people just don't know how to find podcasts nowadays. It's a little tricky for some people.
Well, not some people. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
People who read newspapers.
Correct.
Those people.
But if you have any questions for us, you can shoot us an email at ktownconnects@yahoo.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're here with our guest, Daniel Thompson. How can people find you?
People can find me in a number of ways. So they can find me on Twitter as @oldfashionednews. They can find me on Facebook as Daniel Thompson. I'll be the person that looks like me. Haha. But anyway, 3am Saints is another one, which is @3am Saints, or Joe Monroe Media, which is also me.
Yes, I was actually just checking out that page. So you do a lot of photography on there?
Yeah, I've been doing photography since I've been working full-time as a journalist, because I work for smaller newspapers which don't have photographers. So you're basically your own photographer.
Yeah.
So it became a hobby over time, and, especially now that I have more time on my hands, or, was trying to make more time even when I was still employed at Kenosha News to do it more recreationally. Joe Monroe Media became a spot to put kind of these photos that I take when I'm not taking news photography.
So you're not allowed to use the same photos that you give to Kenosha News?
It's not that I wasn't allowed. I just always tried not to, because I thought it would be ethically...
Put your own blend in your own photography, so to speak. Mm. You can also find 3M Saints on Spotify. I was listening to it on the way in.
Yes, on Spotify, on Apple Music, I believe Amazon's platform, Google. Basically anywhere you can find music, you can probably find me.
Cool.
Well, you mentioned that you were on Twitter, and a very, very famous person was tweeting back with you. Your new best friend, Mark Ruffalo. Fill us in on this.
Yeah, so it's been surreal. So after the New York Times wrote their story, Mark Ruffalo retweeted it, and that was surreal enough because I'm ending the day from going as somebody who just quit their job and has no prospects or had nothing to leap to. So I'm unemployed, and then I ended the day maybe being one of the most famous unemployed people
Yeah.
because I had Mark Ruffalo retweeting a New York Times story about me. So that's a weird way to end your day. And so from there, next thing I heard that he had an Instagram live video with people at the kind of block party that the Blake family had near the shooting scene while the president was in town.
Oh, okay.
And I heard about that because I stopped by for maybe an hour near the end. I was still and I still am kind of laying low and just resting, getting used to having time.
Yeah.
Do you sleep in very late now?
I'm not actually sleeping late. My sleeping schedule, I'm sleeping more. But when it happens is different and unpredictable at this point. But no, so I saw that he had talked to people and he had mentioned me. And
Wow.
that was incredible. So, and then later on, when I, started reacting to it online, his publicist reached out to me. And actually, it was for one, they were very supportive of me, but they were also very gracious in the fact that Mr. Ruffalo had planned on putting an op-ed in the Kenosha News. And he was wondering how I felt about him doing that. And I told him to, because Kenosha News has a wide readership, and right now it gets millions of page views. If you want to message out, Kenosha News is the place to do it.
Yeah.
Don't forget about Happenings Magazine.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You guys, too.
They get a few thousand.
But I'm just saying I had personal knowledge of, their capabilities. So
yeah.
I would never want to keep somebody from using a platform to give a message that's needed. I'm always supportive of that. So it's been a back and forth. And then today, I knew that Ron Dean Brown, is a huge Hulk fan.
Oh, who is this?
Ron is, how do I even describe Ron? He's a local guy, and he's been, I think during the fires in Uptown, he even ran upstairs and kicked in a door because he thought a child might be in there.
Oh, wow.
So Ron's that type of person. And so I knew he really loved the Hulk, and especially Mark Ruffalo's portrayal of him. So I've been waiting for a moment to try to throw it out there, and finally I saw Ron commenting some stuff about the Hulk and using a gif of the Hulk. So I was like, now's the moment. So I screenshot it, put it on Twitter, telling Mark Ruffalo, this guy is your biggest local fan and he's one of my local heroes. And then he writes back, which I didn't expect to happen.
Donnie, what do you say? Can you read the tweet?
I have the previous tweet in front of me, not this one.
Oh,
It
okay.
happened today.
no.
This just happened today.
This is new. Okay.
He basically said, hello, Ron, thank you for, supporting me and my family and things like that. And then I put that on Facebook and tagged Ron.
Oh, cool.
And he was freaking out. And it was great. It was one of the most rewarding things for me that's come out of this.
I think Trish told me he's still running around his living room.
He might be.
Hundreds of laps.
And that's the thing. It's it's great to be, vindicated or have my stand kind of legitimized by, other people. But it's also given me a way to do these really fun, nice things for these people in my life that I wasn't able to do before. And the truth is I only have these 15 minutes to do it. So nobody's going to be talking about me as much in a month.
Yeah.
Well, I think they will, because your plan is to start a new media company, correct?
Yes, it is.
You got any details on that?
I have selected a temporary home for where I'll be at least writing articles. So my plan is I will be writing articles on a particular site that I'll announce after I figure out how I want to announce that. And from there, I will basically be building up my project with the intention of, if it's successful, getting its own website and expanding even the scope of it, hopefully linking with national independent journalists and contributors that I know, and then kind of going from there. And I'm hoping to eventually have a brick and mortar operation, or at least a space.
Yeah.
And if I was going to do that, I'd want to put it in Uptown.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, by the way, you going to be hiring?
Well, we have a website that needs content.
Yes, we do. We have our ktownconnects.com if you're interested in throwing us a bone.
Which Donny bought.
Which I bought.
And all it
for
has
some
is our
odd-
podcast links
for
on
some
it.
odd reason.
I mean,
we need
this
a website.
this is the fun part of it that I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of the first 6 months, starting in October when I finally get back to work, because I plan on taking the rest of September off to kind of rest, decompress from 8 years of doing everything I've been doing, and especially once I start, it's not like I can stop.
Mhm.
Know.
Well, that's what Donny and I, when we originally came up with this whole concept for the podcast, our idea was to have a website with news and photos and a podcast and this and that. Me and him were going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dude, we can't do this. We can't do all this.
As much as you want to.
Especially not as a hobby, just something on the side for fun. We're like, well, maybe we'll get some advertisers eventually, but we'll just do it. And I'm like, no, we can't. Let's just
It's way too much work.
let's just focus on the podcast and do that one thing and try to do that one thing right. So,
And see, that's the concern. The only major concern that I have for myself right now, and the only thing that I've started thinking about is, so the GoFundMe, which is at over 43,000 right now,
It's amazing.
which means that I get to, and I've committed, and I'm still very, I'm not looking at the money and being like, well, it's pretty big now. Maybe I'll keep more of it. No, half of that's going back to Uptown.
nice.
I have somebody actually selecting those people for me who knows this area better than I do and knows who's been helped and who's still in need.
Mhm.
So this money will hopefully go to the people that need it most. But even with that money, let's say that I took it and put it into funding a business. 21,000 is not anything
Yeah.
when building a business. So, or sustaining myself, because that would be less than half of the salary I have.
It'd be your job. You'd be full time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's almost, and I'm not going to ask anybody to do it because I've asked a lot of people and people have really supported me. But if there was a way that somebody would I could have a sponsored salary the same that I was at Kenosha News for 1 year, there is so much infrastructure and everything I could get built with what I'm doing and get it out much faster. That would be a dream. Is that going to happen? Probably not. But I've been wrong. I didn't even think I'd make it to 5,000 in my GoFundMe, and now I'm over 8 times that. People have invested hardcore in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Now you got to do something.
exactly, I have to do something and I have to do it right. So it's
Right.
like, as much as everything in me wants to capitalize on, okay, everybody's talking about me now. Launch it now. Do whatever you can now.
But you got to make sure you got to have it planned out.
Exactly.
You want to do it the
Plus-
way you want to do it.
I'm not looking for a national audience as far as serving a national audience.
Yeah.
And in the end, I'm going to be serving this community. And this community is the one that's being patient with me
hmm
and supporting me. So as long as this community understands that it's going to take me time and gives me that time, I'm not going to rush. They're the people that I serve.
So where can people find your GoFundMe at?
What is the official link for it? Here, I will look it up.
Is it just Daniel? You just go to your Facebook
Don't you have it
page.
there
Yeah.
in front of you?
You can go to my Facebook. You
Invest
can go,
in New Kenosha Media.
Yep,
That's all
and-
they have to do is find that on the GoFundMe.
Yep, search for Invest in New Kenosha Media. Now, watch out for another GoFundMe, a fraudulent one, that also says that I'm the organizer. Its name is simply Justice, and it uses a screenshot of one of the texts, or the headline that I sent to my boss. That one is not me. Do not fund that one.
It's a shame that people do that. It really is.
You expect it, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
And I told somebody a few days before that, hey, watch the GoFundMes in Kenosha,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of money pouring through with recovery efforts, and somebody's going to try to take advantage.
Oh, I'm
and
sure.
lo and behold,
It's-
it turned out to be me they tried to take advantage
That's
of.
I was looking at some of the ones for all the unrest that went on. I'm like, do I want to give to this one? I don't know.
Exactly, because it would be so easy to.
It could be anybody.
This person, last time I checked, had gotten away with getting $1,500.
Oh,
Wow. Have they shut that down yet, or you?
I
don't
haven't
know,
looked
huh?
again.
I don't know yet.
I reported it.
Yeah.
and-
Well, okay.
I think I donated to the wrong one. No, just kidding. I got your email. Thank you for that. All right, so let's switch topics here. Let's talk about the 17-year-old who pulled the trigger that
Good old
scary
Kyle.
night. Kyle.
Yes.
Kyle in the Kenosha Guard.
Ugh, what a disgust! It would just disgust me to even talk about it. But Kevin Matthewson.
So this guy, from what I remember, he was a former alderman, or he was an alderman, and then he lived out of town for a period, and then he retired from being an alderman. Is that correct? Maybe.
I try my best not to think too much about Kevin Matthewson.
Yeah.
So anybody who's seen me on social media knows that around the same time that I had a confrontation with Ralph Nudie, that then led to one with Kevin Matthewson, who basically tried to frame things to where the Kenosha News should get rid of me. And, as much as it would have been fun to get in a back and forth with Kevin Matthewson, I had a moment where I realized he's not important to me. He doesn't matter in my life.
Yeah.
And I say that with no hostility. It's also that, also fully acknowledging that the same is true for me in his life. We don't affect each other's lives beyond our interaction on Facebook, or his interaction with me on Facebook as far as saying that I should lose my job or that I'm, a bad journalist or whatever. So before all the Kenosha Guard stuff, me and him had that kind of back and forth. And I just let it go. But then all this stuff with Kyle Rittenhouse happened, and it was no surprise to me that Kevin Matthewson was in the middle of it, because he's the one that put out the call out that brought Rittenhouse here, whether Matthewson knew Rittenhouse or not. And the funny thing is, it's even a bigger situation, because Matthewson not only put out a call out for armed people to come to Kenosha, he stoked fears by making people think that the law enforcement officers and the National Guard here were inadequate. And when you're adding that much fear and tension into a situation and deadly weapons, it's only a matter of time before somebody dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm anti-Kevin. I'm glad he's kicked off Facebook forever, right? Is that what I was reading?
It's permanent.
Is it official that he was part of the Kenosha Guard?
He was the founder.
He was the founder, okay.
He was the director.
And he tried to get rid of all the evidence on Facebook as well.
But he was caught.
Good. Good riddance to bad rubbish.
Oh, he's not going anywhere. You'll see him again.
He'll pop up somewhere, causing some ruckus somewhere.
I got blocked by Kevin Matthewson, I'm proud to say.
I don't even know if he
years ago,
blocked.
actually.
I don't know if he blocked me. The best thing about him is that he's very good at, or he's very happy to air people's dirty laundry. The second that you point out something that he did wrong or any specific detail about something he did, he clams up.
That's kind of what happened. I was like presenting facts to him, and he didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, we should get him on the show.
Ooh.
Yeah, that would be enjoyable.
Ooh. Do a little round table. Get Daniel back in here.
Yep.
And then we could get Ralph Nudie.
Oh,
That would be a perfect
To be honest,
combination.
I would much rather have Ralph than Kevin Matthewson.
So let's go back to a different headline. So you were going to some of the Back the Blue rallies. You were reporting there for the Kenosha News, or you were there on your personal time.
This was after.
This was before. This was the Back the Blue a month or two ago, and I would go live as Kenosha News, even whether or not I was actually on duty or on the clock that day, because we needed more live videos, more videos on the website. So if I was there, I would go live, and then I'd withhold chanting or saying any of my personal opinion while I was as Kenosha News. Now, Back the Blue was a interesting case because I somewhat blurred the line between journalism and being a person when I jumped in to stop a fight.
Mm-hmm.
I
watched that video.
Yeah.
And now this was on Sheridan?
This was in Civic Center Park.
Okay. So there was the Badge rally and Black Lives Matter party going on at the same time?
That day there was, yes.
And they kind of started shouting back and forth, I assume.
Shouting back and forth, and then some BLM people came over, and the Back the Blue people, the more extreme of them, were not having it.
Yeah.
And Ralph Nudie was hosting that as well, correct?
He was, and I gave him all of my mind about
Yeah, you guys did go back and forth quite a bit on Facebook.
We did, and still this day I don't agree with holding that event. If you wanted, I can understand Ralph's perspective.
When he wants his face and he wants the fame.
But here's the thing about Ralph, is that he doesn't think through what he's doing. He says that he wants to be fair, but the truth is, if you want to hold a neutral rally backing police, you don't bring in David Clark.
Yeah.
That's a sign of purely wanting to instigate and divide.
And just having it at the same place at the same time is just looking for trouble.
Exactly. There was no reason for it to be there. I get that police officers are going through a tough time right now, especially good police.
Yeah.
I'm very open with people. I have met so many officers, sheriff's deputies, sheriffs themselves, and police chiefs that are wonderful people and honest people, and I trust them with my life. There are only 2 or 3 bad law enforcement officers that I've met in my life.
Yeah.
And I have watched them get taken out, and I've applauded them get taken out of their respective offices. Because them being in there, them making decisions, or it's much the same as Kenosha News and management anywhere.
Yeah.
If you have somebody in power who's bad at their job or doesn't actually have the truth in mind or the desire to want people to know the truth, everything's going to be skewed.
It just trickles down.
Yeah, exactly.
The negativity and
the good cops.
Oh, we got plenty of them, yeah.
Yeah, we got plenty. It's just we might have some bad ones at the supervisory or management level.
Yeah.
That's why I believe they should restructure the whole police. But I don't want to get into that rant again like I did in the Corey episode. But so let's go back to this Ralph Nudie situation here. You guys were going back and forth quite a bit.
Did you talk to him at all that day at the event?
No, because I didn't want to.
Well, you were going live the whole time, right?
I was going live the whole time. Plus, I can realize with myself where I need to more talk to somebody from a distance than in person. If I'm angry enough to where I think a lot of things can escalate in person in ways that they don't if you're far away. Yeah. Or at least things won't go to a certain place because they physically can't.
Yeah.
Sometimes that is more valuable than anything in a moment for me. So no, I didn't talk to him there. I thought about it. And in fact, I was venting to my friend Jordan, who was also there taking photos, but didn't receive any of what I did as far as words of abuse or anything like that. So yeah, what you saw was kind of an explosion of a lot of frustrations with the whole situation there.
Well, you did chase him out of Kenosha. Congratulations. You sent him back into Florida to do his nudie on the beach or something?
I think so, but I mean, I know Ralph planned, because he told me as we were fighting that, I plan on leaving in 2 weeks. And my thought was,
his bags for him a little quicker.
I was like, okay, that still doesn't change that I'm mad right now.
Yeah, doesn't change what happened that day.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just going to ask it. Is Ralph Nudie a racist?
Or do you think he is, I guess would be the question.
There we go.
Do I think Ralph Nudie is racist? I think Ralph Nudie, like a lot of people, has racist tendencies that they like to say they don't have. They like to wrap themselves around the cloak of knowing black musicians and history of all these white bands or whatever that have stolen black music, or even white people that have stolen black blah, 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 blah. I don't care what you know. I care how you act.
Yeah.
I care what you do with what you know. And in that regard, he and many people fail in my eyes quite considerably. Do I think Ralph is a bad person at his heart? No. I think he's misguided. Incredibly so.
Well, yeah, because you guys had this conversation which is, on social media, and you're going back and forth, and he's expressing this kind of respect and adoration for you. And there's another post where he's referring you as just some reporter or something like that. Kind of throws you off the rails there.
Yeah, that's
So
when
it's
I was.
that's shady right there.
Yeah,
It's-
I had told him like in a private message, like, because he had reached out to me, like, okay, I'd love to have you on the show, but and I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that. And he's like, well, give it a little time. And I'm like, okay, I'll think about it. I'm mad right now, so I'll just take a moment.
yeah.
So I did. I agreed to like a ceasefire, and then I saw that, and then raged. Yeah. So yeah, that was an interesting.
Well, I'm just gonna say you're cleaning house of all the riffraff in Kenosha. Keep up the good work, all right?
I went to elementary school with Ralph Nudie, and he was.
Squirmy is the word I've been hearing from people.
I don't want to say anything really bad, but
No,
I'm not denying.
I mean, he was going to buy some ads from me before he moved out of town, but
does he know he got any money? Does he?
no, thank
Oh, that's
goodness,
good.
no.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
now let's switch gears here. Let's talk a little about 3AM Saints.
Yes.
When did you start this project?
I think officially I started it at the end of 2018. But really what happened, 3AM Saints was, so music had always been part of my life. My father plays the guitar and sings. He taught himself. My brother Matt has perfect pitch. My brother Tom even took some piano lessons. And my brother Nate does stuff with rap and R&B music, in his spare time. So my family's always been one that's musically inclined. And my mother greatly appreciates music. So it's always been part of my life. So when I quit drinking roughly 3 years and almost 8 months. Well, no, it's been 3 years and 8 months. I totally forgot. It's past September 1st, isn't it? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Labor Day.
So yeah.
It's like September 7th. Yeah.
No, it's 3 years and 8 months.
Congratulations.
Actually. So it happened on the 1st. So when I quit, I had to find hobbies because when you quit drinking, you have to replace the obsessive behavior with something else, something productive. So I ended up writing music, creating and writing a whole album. And then I'd also...
So Long Lonesome Drunk is the name of the album?
Drunk. And I also took up shooting and a whole bunch of other stuff, and as well as self-analyzation after, more than a decade of alcoholism. There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
And so music and the project help that. And also connecting with people locally in the music scene and stuff like that has been just great.
How would you describe your sound for 3AM Saints?
It wasn't until maybe 6 months ago that somebody finally gave me a genre name that I could use, and that's soul folk.
Hey,
Oh.
all right. Yeah,
Sounds
you're right.
interesting.
That's the only one I've heard that immediately I can use, and people are like, okay, I kind of get what you're saying.
What made you decide to actually have a band name? Because it's just you, right?
Here's the thing is that, so it was honoring people I've known. So 3AM Saints, the name came from, so when I was an alcoholic and lived in Madison, and anywhere really, when I was in my heavy drinking days, I would often find myself stumbling home after 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I was never when I was in the throes of the drinking all the time, I never really cared about my own safety.
Yeah.
So I'd end up depending on or meeting these strangers at night, whether it was at like Ian's Pizza in Madison or something like that, who would actually like end up helping me get home or like making sure that I got somewhere safe. So I started thinking of them as like these 3AM Saints.
Oh, cool.
So there's that. And then also, I used to be in a band with my best friend, or one of my best friends, Adam Peranto, who owns a coffee shop in Evanston and Winnetka now, Reprise Coffee Roasters, that I play at a lot. And I knew he would always be involved. In fact, he funded some of my recording sessions. So I wanted to make it clear in the name that I wasn't alone. This wasn't really a solo project. I was never really alone in it. And plus, leave the door open over time if people want to jump in and play with me or not.
Okay.
People can jump in and out. It was always plural because it was, plural because I was leaving it open if I found people that wanted to connect for however long as a project.
And you also felt that there's these other outside forces that helped influence you.
Oh, exactly.
That kind
I feel like it would have been almost unfair or dishonest to have a singular name because I've never thought of myself as just myself against the world.
Yeah.
So who are some of your musical influences?
Sam Cooke, Bob Dylan, Billie Holiday, Otis Redding, Hank Williams, Johnny Cash, Let's see what other big. Oh, Dave Van Ronk. Discovered him after I saw Inside Llewyn Davis because I didn't realize that movie was a loose adaptation or kind of biopic of his life. But no, I've been getting into a lot of folk and a lot of black artists, and especially ones that are coming out lately. And none of them I'm going to think off the top of my head as far as being influences for So Long Lonesome Drunk, but I've always had very eclectic taste. So all the big bands and even all the small, even local bands, like let's say Ghost and Color, the Spare Animals, which is Kai Anderson and Elizabeth Bleishink, and Would You Kindly, Shane Madsen has been a good friend of mine. So there are all sorts of musicians on the mainstream made it big level and on the local you'll see them on the streets level that inspire me a lot to keep writing and inspire what I'm writing all the time.
And you have a new single out, Gracelands?
Yes. Graceland was the single from So Long Lonesome Drunk, and it's funny that I just realized now that I'm still in the first year of that being released.
Wow.
Yeah, I released it I think I released it right before January 1st.
Oh.
Well, this year's taken like a decade, so.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't even recall everything that's happened this year, but yeah, no. Graceland, and that's about Graceland Cemetery in Racine, where my grandmother Mary Alice and grandfather Arzel and my great-grandmother Lila Barr are buried together, and some other of my family are out there too. One of my cousins on the Doss side, and I think a couple other Dosses. But Graceland was always the place that I thought I would end up eventually, because I wanted to be buried in Racine, and specifically Graceland, where the rest of some of my family was.
Yeah.
Kind of think of it as where we go as Thompsons or Dosses.
Okay.
Well, where can they find more 3M Saints at?
We already went over that. Every music.
They can
Spotify,
no.
Amazon.
You got
I
your
did
own-
not
you got your own
mention. I did
website.
not mention my website to Donny's credit.
Thank you.
It's 3amsaints.com, and you can find videos. You can find links also to Joe Monroe Media on there. It can be a one-stop shop for finding me basically anywhere.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, you ready for some random fire questions?
Sure.
All right, some of them are Kenosha themed, some of them are just to get to know you a little more. What is your favorite park in Kenosha?
My favorite park. It would have to be Southport. Okay. Southport Beach House, that whole area, that was my spot in my teenage years and still this day.
Nice.
What is your favorite place to see a band?
Well, how about your favorite place to see a band, your favorite place to play?
Hey, there you go.
Are they the same one? They could be the same one, or they could be different ones.
Favorite place to play, I would say Kenosha Creative Space is my favorite place to play only because most of the time when I'm playing there, it's completely open and other people can jump in with me,
Oh, cool.
on a whim. It's a very creative collaboration at any point. Like when they used to do, or they still do it now. I think it's Haven that's Haven Wells, Misbehaven that's running it, but they do the create of the space. So that was my favorite kind of experience because that brought a lot of the camaraderie and a lot of togetherness and built a lot of the relationships that I have in the local music scene.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, my favorite place to see a show when it happens, just because of how fascinating I find being inside of it when a show's going on, is the Port.
Oh, yeah.
I love seeing shows.
The Port has an energy to it that I think is vastly underappreciated by the majority of Kenosha.
Yeah, yes, it does. It's
I agree.
one of my favorite bars. I worked there for about 5 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was.
And it's
back,
funny.
They didn't have bands then.
Until like the past year, I'd never been inside the Port because either I had been gone out of the state or I wasn't of age to be in the Port.
Yeah.
So finally going there and seeing a show there, and I've never played the Port because I don't know if my genre, my style of music particularly fits it well. But I've seen acoustic shows done well there and everything. It's just, you almost feel the history inside the Port, and it's incredible to kind of experience that, because you don't really get that a lot.
Yeah, it's a one of a kind of place for sure.
It really is. I got so many horrible memories I'm trying to forget from that.
I got some great memories from that place.
I don't even remember half the memories from
man.
there. But
Yeah.
that is where I met the love of my life.
Yes. We've heard that story. Tune
Yes.
into episode
Yeah,
whatever.
2 episodes ago, so it all comes full circle. All right, what was the last thing you shoplift?
The last thing that I
What question is
shoplifted.
that?
Hey, what does it say? Why not, huh?
Does accessory count?
Anything counts.
Condoms from Woodman's when I was
Okay,
15.
all right. Okay, I like that. All
Were you
right.
too embarrassed to buy them, or we're not
No,
allowed to?
I don't know what it was. Like, here's the thing: it's like it was me and a bunch of kids from CLS, and it was their idea, and they were from well-off families, and condoms pretty cheap, guys. I guess they just wanted to get a bunch of them, so I let them borrow my leather coat, and I was kind of doing a half lookout, and I just saw them like grabbing condoms, just opening the boxes, putting them in my coat, and
So they're taking them out of the package in the store.
they were taking them out of the package. But this is the thing: they got to keep them because they were out of the package, and I got my cut of them. So I guess I walked away with something that day.
But you were a good Christian life student, so you wouldn't need condoms.
Oh, of course not.
Who uses those anyway? Am I
Who
right?
needs safe sex
Right.
when you don't have sex, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you're a good boy.
All right, you're taking a day trip. You're going to Chicago or Milwaukee?
Chicago.
Okay. Hop the train?
Drive.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
All right. What is your most used emoji?
I don't really use emojis.
Oh.
He loves this question. I hate the
I
question.
love
I'm
the
like,
question. I
I'm
love
trying to think of what emoji I've used. It's probably like shrugging shoulders.
it. There you go. What was your first job
My first job ever.
ever?
Working at the Bristol Renaissance Fair on the grounds crew. I did landscaping,
Oh, wow.
trash cleanup, and garbage collection when I was 16.
Interesting. You probably had some good views there with those women walking around.
It was an interesting place to work. I don't know that I'd want to tell many stories from there.
I used to have, when I was a bartender, a relationship with a lot of the renties. I was our spot, their little clubhouse, so to speak. Not the port at the time. I was working at patios, and I was their little hangout. So yeah, they're an interesting bunch.
It's an interesting bunch.
They love to drink though.
They really do. They really do.
They're good people. They're
Good people, good people,
but interesting
but-
as hell, man.
Yeah, it's an interesting environment to find yourself in, especially as a teenager.
I bet.
Who has influenced you the most in your life?
You know, I'd almost say my parents.
Yeah.
Because, for one, my father told me something when I was young that has influenced a lot of the decisions that I make, and that was never let your emotions rule you. Not don't feel them, but never let them rule you. And he would always say it when I was angry or when I was getting too emotional and I wasn't seeing things right.
Mm-hmm.
So I've kind of trained myself over the years that even in situations where I'm horribly upset, to not lose the clarity or let my mind get clouded or how I'm reacting to things get clouded by how I'm feeling, which is some people take as my objectivity in how I'm approaching everything. But it's really stems from that. Because my mother taught me never get old.
Oh, I like
My
that.
mother is 72 years old, and she is the youngest 72-year-old I know. I love my mother so much because I've never looked at her and thought, oh my God, my mom's old. I feel older than my mother.
Yeah.
But she was an elementary age teacher for the longest time, so she's used to interacting with young children, and you see that. But and you know, my mother's also showed me what true love is, because your mother's the first person that ever loves you,
Mm-hmm.
and the first person you ever loved, the first woman you ever really loved.
Yeah.
And you know, my parents influenced me still a great deal, and I see them maybe 4 or 5 times a week.
Nice.
I stop by basically for lunch almost every day. When I was young, they were my parents, and just my parents. They're the people I had to listen to. As I've gotten older, I've started to see that I see them more as friends than people I need to listen to, or that I'm even looking for an answer from.
Yeah.
I bounce things off of them because I respect their opinion.
Yeah, get their advice, and yeah.
And they had a major part in me existing and being the person I am.
Yeah.
So who better to remind me who I am than the people that help make me that way?
There you go. Well, speaking of that, what's one secret that you're still keeping from your mom?
One secret I'm still keeping from my mom.
You're an open book. You tell her everything.
That's a hard one.
I know.
I mean, come on, that's.
All right. Well, how about this
I wouldn't
one?
know the answer to that one.
Big star of the spot.
I'm going to disappoint so many people right now.
Ooh.
I've never eaten it either.
Oh, wow. All right. Okay.
And it's not like out of like I don't want to. It's legitimately only because anytime I think about it, I was either at work or I was busy doing something else.
All right, here's one more for you. What is your go-to karaoke song?
So anytime I've sang karaoke, so I don't sing a lot of karaoke, surprisingly. It's not my thing. Because I almost feel like I suck at karaoke.
Mm-hmm.
I would say The Killers. And it's between all these things that I've done and... Oh, what was it? What was the name of the one from Sam's Town? Doesn't look like a thing like Jesus.
Is that Mr. Brightside?
No.
I have no idea.
Oh,
I've heard of The Killers.
It's
as
on
far
the
as I
tip of
got.
my tongue. I was just
When
listening
you
to
were young.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. That's what it is.
Okay.
I've done that one too.
Sam's Town is a fantastic album, though.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
I think it's their best work.
I loved it. I really did.
Wait, you ready for some trivia?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. I was, I have to come up with these trivia questions every week, and I was trying to think of what I could do. I was thinking, should I do like newspaper questions, something like that? But I'm like, Daniel, he plays guitar, so I'm gonna do guitar questions.
Yeah, you can do that. We'll
right.
see if I actually know any of them.
What kind of guitar do you play?
As far as brand.
Yeah, what kind of your favorite that you use?
Well, right now I have a Guild, I have a Gibson, and I have a Gretsch. Oh, I also have a Les Paul, I guess.
I have a Court.
But the Gibson and the Guild are the ones I play most. Both acoustic electric.
Okay, all right. So this is from the website kickassfacts.com.
Ooh.
Because I did not come up with these questions myself. I just stole them from online. So we're going to let our guest go first. Daniel, Let's start you off easy here. What name did blues legend B.B. King use for every guitar he ever owned? Starting you off easy here, man. Come on.
That's not easy when I've had the whole world asking me about resigning the past week. Do you think... I have a name in my head, but I don't want to say it. Go. Tell me.
Lucille.
That's exactly the name I was going to
Of
say.
course it was.
Seriously.
I'm not buying that.
No.
I'm not.
I wanted to say Lucille, but then I was like, wait, am I just thinking of Lucille Ball right now?
Okay, Donnie.
Oh, boy.
So here's your chance. Take your first lead ever.
Yeah. Let's see here.
What did an Arizona man sell on eBay for $5.50 in 2010?
A Kurt Cobain pick.
No, for $5?
My
It was an air guitar used at a Bon Jovi concert.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Wow.
Did anybody buy it?
Yeah, he sold it. $5.50.
Wow.
What?
Someone bought the air guitar. Yeah.
Is there a picture of it?
No, it's all paper here. All right.
All
All right, Dan. 0-0. Here we go.
Yeah.
On Christmas Eve 1969, Willie Nelson got a phone call that his Nashville home was on fire. He rushed home and managed to rescue two things, his guitar and what else?
His weed?
Ding, ding.
All right.
That's right.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, if you got the guitar, I
Willie
know what
Nelson.
else Willie Nelson's grabbing.
All right.
Because I know that destroyed a whole bunch of tapes that he had.
Ah. All right, good. So 1-0. Here we go, Donnie.
Okay.
Okay. Guns N' Roses guitarist Slash bought a 1959 Les Paul, and when he was pictured with it in a magazine, another big-name guitarist recognized the guitar, and it used to belong to him. Who's the guitar player?
Jimmy Page.
You're close. Joe Perry. He's the poor man.
Perry,
so.
Joe Perry.
All right. So 1-0. All right. You a deadhead at all, Daniel?
I'm starting to appreciate the Grateful Dead. It's more like, it's like one of those bands where the people that are into it are so passionate about it that you're like, I don't even know if I want to get sucked into this.
All right, well, you're not going to get this one then.
Okay.
Well,
What was the name of Jerry Garcia's custom-built guitar he had made from the recycled rosewood from an Asian opium den? This one's hard. You're not going to get it.
Well, I'm like, what would I call it?
Yeah, it's not
Chief?
Yeah, it's lightning bolt.
Lightning bolt.
Yeah.
you're close.
All right, you're still up 1-0 though. All right, Donnie. You know who Anthony Kiedis is?
Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Yes.
Yeah.
He once traded his guitar signed by the Rolling Stones for what?
A sock.
No, you should use your head. It was heroin.
I was about to say heroin.
$10 worth.
It's totally heroin.
Yeah. Dang it.
Sorry, you don't get the steal on that one, so it's still 1-0.
Yeah, damn.
All right.
Sock and heroin. It was a sock of heroin?
No.
No.
You know, because they wear the socks. They used to wear the socks.
Who, heroin?
The Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you guys know who? He said sock. Who you know? Come on, that's what they're known. The Chili Peppers are known for wearing socks on their dicks and heroin.
Okay, that's true.
Right
That's
in-
true.
All right.
All right.
California
Yeah,
socks.
no, that's true.
All right. Still up 1-0 to Dan. Which guitarist started the tradition of displaying rock and roll memorabilia at the Hard Rock Cafe? He was the first one. He had his guitar hung up over his favorite booth.
A guitarist?
Yes. Oh, these are hard today, aren't they?
Yeah, dude.
The Hard Rock Cafe.
They've been around for a while, so somebody probably going back a little bit.
Are we going back to like Chuck Berry?
No, not that far back.
Hendrix?
No.
Les Paul?
Eric Clapton.
Eric Clapton?
Yeah.
Yeah, but whatever.
I know these are tough.
Yeah, what the heck?
All right, Don, you need to quit looking over here and cheating.
I'm not. Like I'm going to get any right anyway.
Well, this one has a little bit of history to it. So if you know your history,
definitely not going to get it right then.
the Gibson limited edition Old Hickory guitars
I have one.
were created from wood of fallen trees from the plantation of which former president?
George Washington.
No, Andrew Jackson.
Ah, damn it.
I guess he was Old Hickory, I assume.
Oh, yeah, he was. Jackson was Old Hickory.
All right. So this is our last question.
He's also a dick.
These are, yeah. These are true or false. So you guys each got 50%. So, Daniel?
Yes.
True or false? Leo Fender, the inventor of Fender guitars, was one of the greatest guitarists of the 1930s.
False.
You are correct. He never knew how to play guitar.
Interesting.
2-0.
fact there.
All right.
Okay, let's see.
Donnie?
Well, let's see if I can get 1 point.
This is from one of your favorite movies from the 80s.
Real genius?
No. In the film Back to the... True or false?
Okay.
In the film Back to the Future, the guitar Marty McFly plays in 1955 was actually created in 1958.
True.
That is true.
What can I
Good
say?
job.
I know my Back to the Future.
Yeah, all
all
sorts
right.
of little things in Back to the Future like that.
All right.
Great
So
Scott. I
Daniel
finally
wins
got
it
one.
2-1.
Congratulations,
Good
Daniel.
job. All right.
I'm
You
still
win.
mad that I didn't say Lucille. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, you
It's going
should've-
to bother me the rest of the night.
Should have been 3-1.
Maybe we'll
but-
just edit it in as you
I
get
will
it.
just, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll just be like, Lucille!
You win the trophy of a bottle of Lou Perini's water. Thank
Yes.
Lou Perini's.
Thank you, Lou Perini's. Well, I got one more question.
Oh, yeah?
Let's throw this in here.
Oh, boy.
When you worked at the Kenosha News,
Yeah.
was the best of Kenosha rigged?
No.
Oh,
And as far as I could tell, here's the thing. I never liked Best of Kenosha myself,
I personally don't.
so I wanted no part of it. So I never paid attention to how we were doing it. Because that's
everybody
it's
is the best
mostly
of Kenosha.
advertising.
Right.
It's not editorial.
Right.
What do I care what we're doing with Best of Kenosha?
So in that book, people bought the ads in there because I've seen those, like, the winners always seem to have the ads.
Yeah, we always, so we know who wins, and then we reach out to them to see if they want to buy an ad.
Okay. All right.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is going to be one of the best of Ktown Connects podcasts. Thank you very much, Daniel Thompson.
I have worked for newspapers where it is rigged.
Yeah.
And I know it's rigged.
That's the dirt I like to hear.
I think it's more of a campaign, these businesses.
Right,
Like, really,
yes.
you know.
Yeah. Here it's actually a campaign. The other place, it was more so they were trying to get
I just
cozy
think
with
if
advertising.
you own a business in Kenosha, that should be the best of. I mean, in these hard times, everybody needs the business to vote.
So everyone's the best?
Yes.
Kenosha itself.
All right.
Yes, you're right. Kenosha is the best.
Kenosha's been through hard times. The truth is we're a pretty great city, and we have a lot of great people here.
On that note, you can reach us at ktownconnects@yahoo.com.
You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, and our website, KenoshaConnects.com.
ktownconnects.com.
Fuck.
Stop swearing. I got to edit that
I
out.
know.
Daniel Thompson, thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
Thank you.
for
It
having
was an
me.
honor.
Right.
Keep up the good work, and I look forward to what you do in the future.
Yes, we'll see what I do.
I'm Jason,
And I'm Donny.
and we're keeping you connected.
I'm from Kenosha, I say Kenosha, that great big